it's Nika from Nordic Brew I wanted to just give a little throwback, a recap from day 3 on the craft brewing in practice. So, day 3 was mainly based on talking about hops and yeast and kind of just diving in those components, those ingredients. And I'll just throw the things that I have learned I think is worth sharing with you guys from this day 3 of the course. So we'll just jump right in there. So hops is what I've discovered is that the components in hops. Now there you have the non-volatile components, the alpha acids and the beta acids that contribute to bitterness in the beer, and then you have the volatile components that are the hop aroma and the hop flavor that basically comes from hop oils. So those are non-volatile that won't evaporate in a vigorous boil, and then there's the volatiles that just kind of disappear if you have or as you have a vigorous boil. Why is this kind of revolutionary? Well, due to the fact that you want bitterness, you want aroma and flavor from the hops in the styles of beers that you're making. So for any homebrewer out there, so the thing is, the hop aromas or the hop oils will disappear in a vigorous boil. So what I'm going to do is perhaps adding the hop additions for aroma and flavor in a very kind of late stage in the boil. Perhaps waiting till the boiling is done, waiting till 85 C, and just adding in them at that point. That will just not perhaps guarantee, but at least a lot more oils will stick in solution instead of kind of evaporating. So that's the first thing I want to share with you. There's a difference. The second one is there's a difference between the bitternesses. Now you have the alpha acids and you have the beta acids. I thought that the beta acids were the ones that contribute to aromatics and so forth, but that's not the case. Those both are both acids are bitterness components, but the beta acids are just 9 times less bitter. Yeah, as I was saying, a lot of the bitterness matter in the hop cone contributes to bitterness, but they have kind of differing types of bitterness. For instance, humulene will kind of contribute to a nice rounded bitterness. The co-humulene will contribute to something that we would experience as harsh bitterness. So if you're looking at the specifications of your bittering hops, you perhaps want to think about the percentage of co-humulene in the hop cone in itself. So you kind of want more humulene and less co-humulene. All right, you get that. And without a vigorous boil, you won't isomerize the alpha acid. So if you're not getting really that much bitterness in your beer, you should look at your boiling efficiency. If it's not really a vigorous boil, there you might have the problem. Kind of adding a little more efficiency to that might help. So yes, that was kind of the hop side. All right, the second thing I want to share with you is three kind of points about yeast. First thing is to consider using a fresh culture whenever you suspect there's an infection. The problem is that if you have some contribution of some type of contamination in the beginning of your fermentation, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. If you have a strong, lively yeast biomass with the right cell counts, they will easily overgrow the infection. But the problem will be if you repitch that yeast, because the contamination will be present in that biomass in the second and third time you use that same biomass or the same yeast. So if you suspect an infection, try to pitch a new fresh culture. And the thing is, if you have a pH meter, you should run below 4.5 pH to kind of slow down or make it very hard for any microbiological growth in your fermenting wort. So those are kind of good thing to bear in mind, that I definitely will get a proper pH meter for this cause. The second I want to share is that brewers want ethanol and CO2 in their fermentation process. So adding a lot of air into your wort will basically produce an increased biomass, not beer. So the yeast will work in a environment where there is oxygen, and then assimilation and biogrowth will happen. When that oxygen is used, it starts to metabolize sugars, producing alcohol and CO2, and primarily that's what we want. So don't under aerate, but don't over aerate, because that will just increase your biomass. The third thing to consider as we talk about yeast is to kind of avoid thermoshock. By this I mean, don't take your yeast out from the fridge and directly kind of pitch it, due to the fact that as we people, we don't like to we like to dress properly for the occasion and for the circumstances. So if you're going out today, it's +10. You want to wear accordingly. Inside it's +20. There you don't have the coats and extra trousers and so forth. So let your yeast kind of get familiar with the temperature and the environment where you're going to ferment it in. Yeah. So a good thing to do it is to revitalize or to do a propagation of your yeast in those conditions where you're going to ferment the final wort. So that was all I wanted to share with you guys today. Thanks for listening, and soon we will have some more material. See you.